Hey everyone, Jessianna Saville here from thekidneyrd.com. We are going to be talking today about vegan and vegetarian diets and CKD. What is best? What the science says. This is a big question. You know, it's one thing to have a plant-forward diet. It's another to have a totally plant-only diet. And so we want to just talk a little bit about that today. So if you have burning questions about, can I have cheese? Can I have dairy? Is a little bit of fish okay? This would be a good thing for you to watch. One of the things that we do at the Kidney RD is we have interns that work with us, and that is one of our ways to not only be able to produce and develop a lot of content, but it's also a way for us to teach the upcoming generations of dietitians what we feel is best practice for kidney disease, so that in the future, more and more people can have really high quality services. So today with me, I have my intern, Emily Wagner from Texas A&M University. I've had interns from Texas A&M University for a long time, love them. And when we were working on her internship, she had mentioned she was really interested in vegetarian vegan diets. And so that's what we are going to talk about today. So Emily, welcome. This usually would be live was not working, and so I'm just going to record this and post it later, but welcome. Would you mind telling just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so like she said, I'm an intern at Texas A&M, and I have about 3.5 more weeks. I've been here for 2.5 weeks. So what initially got me into this is that she was talking about, I have an interest in like a vegan, vegetarian, and I have a background in that. I was grown and raised as a vegetarian for 20 years. And then for the past 3 years, I've been a pescatarian. So it is doable. I think I turned out okay, but I'm a little bit biased, but it is very interesting, like on people's viewpoints on that. So I just wanted to explore that with her a little bit more.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, her whole life has been vegetarian, going back like 2 great grandmas, right? Mm-hmm. Or your great grandma, right?
Yep.
And then your dad continued it, and then your mom became vegetarian because he was, and then you guys have just always been raised vegetarian. So
exactly.
That's awesome. Well, so let's talk a little bit about plant-based diets. Emily, maybe you could share, I think many people know the difference, but just share a little bit the difference between vegan and vegetarian diets.
Sure. So vegan is going to be a little bit more hardcore. It's going to omit all of the like meats and then also animal products. So that's going to be your dairy products, your cheeses, ice cream, butters, then also like your honeys, because that comes from bees and bees are animal. And then also, of course, like your fish and turkey, those products. But then on the other hand, a vegetarian diet, so it's still going to be the plant-based, and you're still going to avoid meats, but you can include the eggs, dairy, and those honey products. So those are the main differences between the two. And the commonality between the two is that they are both plant focused.
Yep, absolutely. The plant focus is the big win for chronic kidney disease. Having more plants in your diet is super powerful. There is a lot of controversy about whether it needs to be 100% plant-based or not. We have a particular approach at the Kidney RD. But maybe you could just share a little bit, maybe 3 to 5 points on why, like why a plant-based diet, what you said in the research as I was having you explore this topic, why a plant-based diet versus a vegetarian diet, maybe some of the similarities you see that have benefits, or where there might be some questions.
Yeah, so like you said, we have a specific approach, and that's going to be the more vegan approach. And that's just because there's going to be less dietary acids, and it's going to make it easier for the kidneys to filter. They're going to put less stress. And so it can work at as optimal as possible. And so the vegan diet, it achieves this more. And so the dietary acids, you may be asking like, oh, what are some sources? And that's going to be your animal proteins and products. And if you remember, the vegetarian diet still includes some of those animal products. But since the vegan diet excludes those, then there's going to be a little bit less acids that can help out the kidney a little bit more. So also with the vegan diet, there's going to be a little more emphasis on the fruits and vegetables, which are going to be alkaline or like bases, and that's going to be able to neutralize those acids. And so adding those in, it's going to be also very helpful and beneficial for those with kidney disease.
Cool. Yep, that's awesome. That's really true. We use a marker. We have our patients track called the renal acid load, potential renal acid load, and that lets us know how acidic the diet is. So in Chronometer, if you have a pro account, which is what we use for our patients, or if you get a gold account, you can track that parameter. So if you're already tracking your food, that's a nice thing to turn on. Then you really can tell how alkaline or acidic your diet is. And even a fully plant-based diet, there are some things that are acidic. Doesn't mean you have to eliminate them, but you do have to balance them. So maybe you could share just a little bit of some of the myths that are surrounding plant-based diets and kidney disease.
Yeah, sure. So a major one is having like a high potassium diet, since there's so many fruits and vegetables, but actually high potassium, it's not the enemy. So some benefits of it is that it can help eliminate sodium and then therefore lower one's blood pressure, which we like, that's a win. And then it can also preserve our kidney function by decreasing the chances of the important blood vessels that do all the filtering. It keeps them from hardening. And so some things that actually do increase potassium are going to be like your constipation, uncontrolled diabetes, being dehydrated, in taking potassium supplements, and some medications. Another concern that people may have is zinc consumption. Zinc from plants usually doesn't have a high bioavailability, but we do have some tips and tricks that you can do to make sure that your body fully absorbs the zinc. And so we can, whenever we're eating like beans, grains, nuts, and seeds, those type of products, we can soak them, and that makes the bioavailability just a little bit higher. And then also whenever we're making like bread products, we can leaven it using yeast or baking powder. So those are some little tips that can help us out there, but sometimes you may just have to have a zinc supplement. And then also the protein in the plant-based diets. So it has an increased amount of amino acid called glutamate, and also has higher potassium salt levels. And both of those have the ability to neutralize the acid in our body. So it would decrease our acid levels, which is another thing that we really look at.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really true. And just to clarify on the potassium, high potassium in your blood is not something that we want, but high potassium in your food can be beneficial. It's not always the enemy, but we're definitely conscientious of if the potassium is too high in the blood. We look out for that piece. And if we think there might be a risk, then we teach you which plant you would be using that would be lower in potassium and other strategies to bring potassium down. Because like Emily said, it's not always just the diet that brings potassium up. So it's a really, really important piece to pick up on. Okay, awesome. So just to back it up, Emily and I had this kind of not long, but we had a conversation about which one would you do, right? Which plant-based, like vegetarian, vegan. At the Kidney RD, we do 90 days of a fully plant-based diet for most of our patients. And I've mentioned this on many other posts before, and the reasons why we would start with a fully plant-based diet. And teaching you how to incorporate that. After that, we will challenge adding in some animal products. Chicken, fish, and eggs, and cheese tend to be the top four that people want to try first, and then we see what happens with your GFR. That is within the full scope, the whole picture of how you add more vegetables in. So those are all things that are really important to look at. A vegetarian diet can work for some people, but on either one, the main thing is you have to be very, very plant dominant. If you start getting heavy on even the grains or the beans, or if you're in vegetarian, cheese or dairy products, it's not going to have the same effect as staying very focused on the fruits and vegetables. So Awesome. Well, Emily, thank you for joining me today. It's fun having you. And make sure and like and subscribe below if you're watching this on YouTube. Otherwise, if you found this helpful, please share in any of the groups you're in. Give us some comments or feedback. We love to know what people think or questions they have. And that's it. We will talk to you later. Bye-bye.